Okay, we are rolling. All right, let me get I need one more of these at 5 by 10. That's 9. Do I have enough for 10? Oh, almost, no. Darn it. That one too short. Let's see what I got there. Those are the pieces of drawing paper. Boo. Well, this is why I can't have extra stuff. All right. From my pad of Bristol. Go. Okay, so this is my little baby cutting mat that I keep around that is handy, and it's got measurements at 10. And first I'll do the 5, so I've got the, zoom in a little for you. The 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get that. I'm just going to have to do this a little differently since I'm off of that. I'll cut it out there. Zero and 5. Turn this the long way. Cut it. Knife. You are there. Dang it. At least I have everything close by at my desk. Okay, hold that down there. It's decent. Score it. Always be careful scoring it. It can be helpful to lay the blade down a little flatter so you get, not only working with the point. You're only cutting from the point, then it will get dull fast. All right, so there we go. 10. Just the cutting mat for that. 0. 10. All right. Now, the board here. Back out. So you got these 3 compositions going on here. I will alternate them with the white field, dark field, and white field. So white, black, white. The format, again, is 1 inch top, side, bottom, side, and ½ inch in between. So a way you can do this is set this down here. what we do is measure 1 inch, make a light mark, 1 inch, make a light mark, one inch, 1 inch, put a very light pencil mark there. I've got 2 marks here at 1 inch on the side here. Light, this way I can erase it, no problem, later. All right, so as long as this is close enough, then we'll be in good shape. Do one. Now, to get the ½ inch in between from here, I can go, it's 1 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then ½ an inch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then ½ an inch, and that will give me 5 left over. I've got 1, 6, 6.5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11.5, and then 12. And then I can put these light marks. I'm drawing these across here, since I know where the corner is at, I only just need to do that line on the corner of the rectangle. I'm keeping these light. It's a little difficult to see. Zoom in here. I want to keep this light so that when after I mount the compositions, I can, I don't have a permanent mark there. So you can see the ½ inch space and the 1 inch space around the side. Good. What I would do then next, any one of these, so let's say this has your composition attached to it. Across there. You can using the rubber cement. You can see mine's a little smaller than the shape that I made. I'll just make it as close as possible. And see that I just take a little bit I'm missing on the corner right there. That's fine. If it's a little larger or smaller than ½ an inch in between, that's no big deal. Just make sure this is even across so that when you have this come in here, I would just maybe use the top marks, and then if there's a little left over on the bottom, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. So like that. Okay. Now with the rubber cement, you can put the rubber cement on the back of this. Stick it down. You can also put the rubber cement directly onto the board. The rubber cement pickup will allow you to pick it up off the board, no problem. Maybe a little bit more direct to just put the rubber cement on the board. You need to go all the way out to the edge. And then carefully take this. I think standing up would be a good idea so that you can get it right up in the corner by like the top edge, and then just try to stick it down as best you can. Press it down like that. And if you've got something flat, like just like another piece of Bristol, and then a book, like a bit of a light book. Well, this is a heavy book, but whatever. Big book. Put it down on there. Maybe what I would do is put it down up higher, like that, so I can mount the next one. And then, after that one's stuck down, take this, shift this, put that on these two, and then you can mount them. So the weight helps to press the adhesive down while it's drying. It dries pretty quickly, so I would do that. Mount them, put some weight on them right away. Okay. Okay. So you have three compositions here. Okay. And then your name is going to go right down here at the bottom. What I'd like you to do is to measure about ½ inch in two places. That zoomed in a little bit. There. Position this a little. Okay. So there's ½ inch mark here and here. Draw a light line. Stop where it is even with the edge of where that composition is. And then write your name here neatly in capital letters. If you're a little bit nervous about doing that right on the board, you can do it on a separate scrap piece of Bristol, as long as it's going to fit in there, like ½ inch tall. So use all capital letters. If you have experience doing lettering for drafting, use that experience. And if you don't, just do your best. Doing lettering, you're really drawing. So if I'm going to write my name out, like if I just say, this is me, that is clear, but it looks okay. But I will try to be deliberate in shaping the letters. That's a little sketchy. Curved letters are harder. You're going to have to go quickly when you do them. That's better. That's a little bit more like a label. Then I think I might take a pen and ink them. Keep putting all my stuff away. I get all this stuff out and then just... Let me see if I can do this without goofing it up. There's always a risk that you're going to do that. There'll just be some mistake. Yeah. I always have the hardest time with that D. And with the pen, you've only got one chance. So I can't draw those O's over and over again the way I did when I drew it with the pencil, but it gives me a guide. And then, because it's in pen, I can erase all the extra. But give it a second to dry. And that's okay. I don't know. That was a little bit goofy. But do your best to just make sure the primary goal with the lettering is that it's clear. So I want to know who did it, and I would like it to look like it's deliberate. So one thing I don't want you to do is just write your name wherever on the back, because sometimes that happens, and it just doesn't look very good. I was told this by someone in the design business, to make sure that the back of the board looks as good as the front of the board. Meaning you shouldn't assume that nobody's ever going to see the back. If they do see the back, then you want to make sure there's not something really kind of messy back there. Now this is curved a little bit. I'm going to try to fix that. Oh, the knife is right here. Way up there. Okay. I'll put the storage here. I'm going to try to freehand the cut here. Because I wrote that out a little bit, not quite straight. I'll try to cut it in such a way that it doesn't look so crooked. Okay. There. That can go there or there, just like right there. Give it some space between the image that's above it. Kind of like that. Okay. There. So the last thing you'll need to do, this is all attached. You're going to attach the tracing paper. I think I showed you that in class, but I'm going to show you again. Take these off. I'm not mounting these to the board because I need to save this piece of board for someone in the class. So now, when this is all dry, and well, I'm going to put that there for just a second. Okay. All right. So I've got this piece of tracing paper. I'm going to just trim it. You can't really see what I'm doing on that other end. When you tear it using this, pull it diagonally, like this way, and it'll tear on the edge. But also turn it down so the metal is against the paper. If it's raised a little bit, it can make a weird tear. All right, so put the tracing paper down, put the board down on top of it. You've got a little bit of overlap, and then the end of it, I want the paper to be flush. Right? Take some drafting tape. I have drafting dots. Right, make sure that's aligned. Fold it. Crease it so that it's flat. And tape it. Tape it. Maybe I'll have these guys all upright, the same orientation. There. And then your board has this flap of tracing paper to cover to keep the surface protected. So there. There. And since I've seen all of your drawings, well, I'd ask you to make, bring your drawings so I can check them on Thursday. I'm not going to collect them. I'm just going to check to see that you did them. Okay. Now, next up, the next assignment. What did I do there? Do that. Sharpen pencil. Okay. The next assignment is going to be very similar. You're going to have both. You're going to have square compositions. So if you start with say like a 4x4 inch square, let's have a couple of these. There. Zoom in a little. Okay. So the next assignment, we're going to shape and form. Shape equals two-dimensional or flat, and form is three-dimensional or volumetric, appearing to have solid form, three-dimensional form. Move the camera a little bit. Could you clarify? Can you see the screen share? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so shape. What I want you to do is to create flat compositions that you're going to make three-dimensional. So, and I guess let's start with something like a circle. Start with circle here. This is a very simple thing. All right. But there are different ways that we can turn these circles into something that has three-dimensional form. One way is with perspective. Let's say I've got a vanishing point here. And I want to turn these into cylinders that are receding. Like that. I can use this as a crop this a little bit. So like that one would go like there. So part of like one of the goals, I mean, really one of the reasons to do this is that these are just like visual effects that are good to know, and they're good to know how to control. Okay? This already starts to have the appearance of three-dimensional space. Now I also could take those circles, which will appear flat. Okay, this is an open composition, goes right to the edge. You can see where you need to know where the end of this, like where the full circle is, because with this cylinder, if I draw this and I got a vanishing point there, from the outer edge of either side of that circle, it's going to be the edge that recedes of this cylinder. So these that go like get cropped, I need to draw the whole thing so I can see where the edge is, so I can bring the edge down, because the edge down here appears in the picture. All right. So these circles I'm going to turn into spheres with shading. Now I'm going to say I've got a light source going this way. The light source is coming from below. And we'll look at some more. We'll look at, you know, honestly, if you look on the internet, if you search light on a sphere, you will see lots of pictures of this, where you have a shadow on one side and light on the other. That one's going to be a little tough to show fully. I want to try to make a transition here with like breaking that up a little bit. With the background light, you don't get the full effect. And so I'm going to have to darken the background. Not solid. I don't want to lose this edge. I'm going to have to, I mean, even in this initial sketch, you can not worry tremendously about, I guess you don't have to worry about all the details, like how am I going to do this for the finished version. Just make a drawing that creates the illusion of 3 dimensions. So I have, like, what I want is to have some contrast on that edge, because when you do the finished version of them, you're going to make that, you won't have this line. You're going to do this again in a collage version similar to the this first assignment. Okay. Yeah, this one has to have some. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have it a little bit more dense in the middle. Like a ball or a sphere with a spotlight on it will usually show like a little bit lighter around the edge. The darkest part of the shadow is actually like in here, not all the way out there. So it allows you to create contrast on that edge by darkening out here. This, I think I'll have a little bit of this. So some techniques that help in making these drawings. You have linear perspective. Because that'll give you accurate 3 dimensions and depth. And then in terms of creating light and shadow, you have, in shading, you have hatching. Hatching and stipple are 2 techniques that you might employ. Hatching is linear. A hatch mark is that. And line used to create shadow is hatching. Cross hatching is when you cross them. They don't have to cross at a 90-degree angle. They can just be more random, kind of like that. Stipple is dots or points. Now, I don't recommend that you carefully just like stipple every last one of them with such a tiny mark. But the idea of building up the tone with points like that allows you more control. What you might do, and the reason I mentioned the stipple is that I will make little tiny, very short hatch marks. And these very short hatch marks are kind of work the way stippling does. Okay? Now in this drawing up here, I think I might do like using the side of the pencil. This is going to have to stay dark in there since that's covered up by this. Come here, baby. Elliot has come to join us. Hi, sweetheart. You can lie down right here. You can lie down. Good boy. All right. Let's see. Let me get that a little bigger. Hey, you're in the way. Okay. I'll tell you if you can't see. Okay. And there. And so I'm saying light's coming from above here somewhere. You don't have to be really decisive about exactly where the light source comes from, but you need a general direction so that you can light the objects consistently. Okay. Now, these faces on these cylinders, they could have some shading. I'm going to change the direction of the shading to follow the direction of the surface. So these are just kind of flat, like they're cut flat parallel to me as I'm looking at them. And then back here, like some scribbly hatching to darken this. Leave a little white there. Good. Okay. So now this is a sketch. Sketches are very important because I can do this quickly and get an idea of whether or not I'm achieving the effect I want. And I think that I like the cylinders. I would put more spheres in here. I think this could stand to have more. And since, while it's in pencil, then I can really see. So one way you create, that you can create depth is by overlapping objects. If these objects overlap, then there's got to be space in between them. Take some of that out of there. That's better. Yeah, see, this was just a little too empty. So as with the other drawings, your drawings take on a kind of a trial and error quality. Some of these will be better than others. Some of them will be just like, nice attempt. Sometimes you just need to make a drawing in order to see whether or not that idea is going to work. It's really hard to predict, especially when you're starting out. It's very hard to predict without seeing it. And this is the value of sketching in a lot of, in a lot of situations, especially like in the design world. The ability to sketch, I think I mentioned this, it's been undervalued because digital media comes along as this what's considered to be more practical. But the ability to just sit down and get an idea out of your head fast is valuable. It's very valuable, and if it's not taught, then you don't learn it. And so I swear, I think some people think that it just happens by magic. Some people who are there are people who make assumptions that nobody needs to know how to draw anymore. It's very wrong. Okay. All right, so here, now if I liked this idea, then this might be one of them that I turn into a larger scale. These are going to be 4x4, and the finished size of this assignment will be 8 by 8 inches, so this is half the size. Now, What if I want to do something that's not based on geometry? Well, then you can. This can be here. Let's try maybe like a drips. So I could start by overlapping those. Now I like this composition. Everything is going downward the same direction. So there's some. I can't draw with my pencil. Hey, I'm gonna wait. I'm busy. God dang. Silly child. Elliot, come on, man. I'm trying to work here. Okay, so that interesting. Remember to crop some of these a little bit here. And sometimes I want to just create this nice, like, use the edge. Instead of using the whole thing, if you've got this drip shape, sometimes you just want that nice curve, which is a part of it. Okay. So then here, you might have the same idea of like some shading on this. To create some form out of the shape. Some shading back here. So I can create the edge with contrast. This gets a little mushy. Sometimes the pencil doesn't really do everything we need it to do. So really, you can start with any kind of shape, turn it into something three-dimensional. Okay, I think that's enough for right now. Any questions about this? I will have information online for you. I'm sorry that I'm not there yet, but it will be very soon. Okay, well, if you have a question, send me an email or ask me on Thursday when I see you. All right. Well, I'm going to